Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. A cool article on Cracked.com, Mitch Hedberg's secret to comedy. He apparently told Kevin Nealon, I started to delete stuff, is what it comes down to. I have jokes that have maybe 3 or 4 at the most punchlines, but I started to make it come down. I figured out that 1 or 2 is the best. You know, the second punchline or the first punchline works better than the third or the fourth. Hedberg talked about performing in Ireland, saying, I got a lot of food product jokes that I do. I know that some of the food products don't translate, and I'm to the point now where I'll still do them regardless. Audiences just have to be really hip to understand a food product that is several thousand miles away from them. If they only know their local food restaurants, you know, F them. Times have changed way back, Hedberg said. I'm working very hard to get recognition. It takes so long, man. I got like a small percentage of recognition in the States, but I decided to say F it. I'm going to Ireland where I have no percentage. I like the fact that I could basically go to zero in a way. It humbles you. It's like all I can do to impress them. Each show is getting better, and I'll play all the countries as long as they give me a chance to get better. The first show will suck, but the 7th show will be sweet. You know, that's the bottom line. Hedberg passed away March 30th, 2005. Wow. 20 years goes fast. The Chicago Defender spoke to DonnellRawlings. He said, a new day wasn't my first special, but it truly evolved my comedy. The first time I taped it, the material was too tied to the pandemic and featured COVID jokes that didn't age well. Chappelle advised me to aim for something timeless. So I took that feedback seriously. I rewrote my material and refined my point of view, resulting in a final version that could stand the test of time. Initially, my special felt like a collection of jokes that needed a clear beginning and personal perspective. However, I realized that I had to capture everything I needed at the moment. It was my 3rd attempt at the special, recorded right after the pandemic, when audiences still felt its effects. While some jokes may have been funny, they didn't create a great special. By listening to constructive criticism, I returned to the drawing board to craft relatable and meaningful jokes. Continuing to speak about Chappelle, he said, our friendship means more to me than any business relationship. While Chappelle's show helped boost my career, our connection genuinely matters. We've been through so much together. He was there when my son was born. We've attended weddings and funerals, including Charlie Murphy's. Whether we're doing comedy or not, he's one of my closest friends. Many people assumed I must be upset about Chappelle's show not moving forward, but my genuine concern was his mental state. He didn't often share his feelings, making things uncertain regarding the Comedy Central situation. When I ran into him in a club in New York, I wanted to hug him and slap him, but felt relieved because I hadn't seen him in a while. Monday Mag caught up with Russell Peters. He says, gotta keep working. Ex-wives. You got baby mamas, you got it all, you know? I had an accountant who I found out wasn't doing his job properly, and now I'm paying the price for it because I gotta get out there and hustle to pay the IRS, which I thought he was doing. Some people on social media accused Russell of doing the same formula again and again. Russell says, the people that say that don't come and watch me. If you do see me, you'll see I do different material every night. Now, there's a whole generation of comics that are doing my formula and making millions of dollars off it, but it's okay for them and not me. When he plays Canada, he says, I'm home, they get it. And when he takes a show around the world, he says, listen, you should never talk about things you don't know about. Number one, if you're going to another country and try to attack their religious beliefs or their government or anything, that's a definite no-go. Even if you know something about it, just don't do it. Sheng Wang says he's pretty happy with where he is in his career. He says, I don't have any big long-term goals beyond just kind of what I'm doing right now. My goal right now is just to enjoy the ride. I feel like, you know, even with this level of success, I'm dealing with more things than I had to in the past in terms of just simple things like marketing or taxes or tax withholdings from different countries. Talk to Russell Peters, huh? Or things I never had to think about too much beforehand. And so I just really want to do what I'm doing and enjoy it the whole time, you know, not get too caught up with the business of these things. Well, I think it's cool. You have audiences along for the ride. Ultimately, what I find to be the most satisfying is writing a new joke. You know, touring, having a fan base, that's all great, and it's fun to do a killer show. But to, you know, really rock it for a whole hour in front of an adoring fan base? For me, the most satisfying thing is still just to write a new joke, come up with a new bit, and have some new insight about something. The Whitmer Daily News spoke to Brian Regan. He says, I don't adapt, I just do it the way I like to do it. I think it's a mistake to try and figure out what other people are doing or what audiences are looking for. I'm just going to do what I think is funny, and if there are enough people out there who agree with me, then I'll be fortunate enough to have a career. The stuff I think about doesn't really bump up too hard against anything that's super controversial. I've never had to adjust accordingly. Sure, there are some jokes to avoid in today's world. And since it's an article with Brian Regan, they asked him about clean comedy, and he said, for my side, we never push out that I'm a clean comedian. I feel like it has the wrong connotation. I feel like if someone were to hear that word before they see what I do, they'd put a connotation on it that has nothing to do with my comedy. It happens to be clean, but that's not the point of it. When people hear clean comedy, they leapfrog over to thinking, oh, he's trying to make a point here. And it's like, no, I just enjoy doing it this way. Skylar Higley is one of Vulture's comedians you should and will know. Proudest moment of your career so far? Listen to this. When my former boss, Conan O'Brien, pulled me aside and said, "You're by far the most talented person I've ever met." Wow. I mean, never mind people that Conan may have casually met hosting his show, like, I don't know, Paul McCartney comes to mind, but even the people that he's worked with, that is high praise. Skyler says, having been a staff writer for The Onion and Conan, I do recognize that I've lived a lot of Gen X white guys' dreams. Being a part of the end of Conan on TBS was very special. Once he emailed me complimenting something I'd written. I emailed him back. "This is a big deal coming from you. Ever since I saw Conan O'Brien Can't Stop when I was 14, I've been a huge fan of Jay Leno." I was only there for the final season, which is like taking a paddle boat out to the Titanic to hop on it as it's sinking into the water. But then you get to say you were on the Titanic, which is legendary, and I got a nice little trophy, which is what it's all about. Worst show ever. I was supposed to do 5 shows in a weekend. I had only sold 15 tickets total, but of course there'd be some walk-ins. The first show went better than I thought. Pretty good. But then there was the second show. I bombed for 40 minutes straight. The few handfuls of people who did buy tickets at the door heckled, made high-pitched bomb-dropping noises after every punchline, and walked out during the show talking crap about how bad it was and refusing to pay for their drinks. The club canceled the rest of the shows that weekend, so I spent the rest of the weekend in a hotel room depressed about my existence and truly resentful of how many comedians would have also bombed in that situation, but would have never been booked there or had to deal with the issues of being an outliner. All right, what's your comedy opinion hill you'll die on? Higley said, the majority of older famous stand-up comedians should retire. They're not offering anything that insightful or well-written. What they accomplished was great, but like with superstar athletes, there's a point where they simply can't be good anymore. Imagine if Jordan kept playing for the Wizards, but also every shot he made had to be about cancel culture or trans people. Another one, the internet has changed the value and form of comedy, and it's become very easy to be creatively lazy, which is strange, since we have the tools to make things very well. The constant demand to not only write stand-up all the time, but to put everything on social media makes me feel like I'm dumping more crap into a river of crap. Comedy is simultaneously better and worse than it's ever been, and there are a lot of amazingly talented people who could be making some great stuff, given more opportunity. That is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They may like it too. If you would like the program without commercial interruption, I get it. I got a solution. Check out the show notes, calaroga.com/plus, or if you're on Apple Podcasts, click that banner and Apple will tell you what to do there. See you tomorrow.